September 8th, we've already opened the meeting previously at 6:30 for an executive session. I just want to welcome all of our guests to tonight's meeting to our beautiful new high school. And finally, after 9 years of planning and hard work, we were able to open this morning without too many chinks in the armor. We got everybody into school. They had a productive first day, and I'm thrilled to be able to have this first meeting here at the new high school. I know Janine and Cliff are particularly thrilled because they've worked their butt off. So is Kathy and Mel and Karen and Mike. So I mean, it's been a long time coming. Some of our members on the secondary school building committee have been on this committee since 2005. They've actually worked on this for 9 years. So today's a big day. We're not ready. School district. What's that?
2004.
2004. So it's 10 years. That would make the 2004, 14, 10 years. 10 years. So it's a big day. We've got a lot of work to do. It's a work in progress. I think anybody that's been up here can see that the middle school construction is well underway, and we're going to be at this for another year and a half. And I think when the entire project's finished, it's going to be spectacular. We have Wayne Hardiker here tonight. Wayne and his crew have worked tirelessly, and believe me, I know because I've seen them over the last couple of weeks in particular, but even before that, to get this building ready for today. They were in here all weekend, they were in here Friday, they were in here Saturday, they were in here Sunday, and they did a great job in getting this building ready to open this morning. It was our objective to open September 8th. We opened it September 8th, so you know, we're going to move forward with a very positive attitude from here on. Our first item on the agenda is public input. If there's anybody here that has anything that they'd like to present to the school committee, please raise your hand. You'll be recognized. Okay. Hearing none, we're going to move on to continued business, and we have, as usual, our MSBA SSBC update, and I'll turn that over to the superintendent.
We opened today.
Yes, thank you.
The certificate of occupancy was issued on September 2nd by the building inspector. Much of the information from the last secondary school building committee is old news, but I'll just say that mechanical system trainings are taking place with the supervisor of building and grounds, Wayne Hardiker, and his support crew. The construction fence line has been reconfigured around the old middle school to contain the construction that's taking place there. The demolition of the middle school is 80% complete. This week, the structural steel for beams and girders will be delivered. Interior masonry walls and the roof have been removed. Installation of brick at the back of the two-story building near the high school has begun and will continue around the exterior facade. Utility poles located along Route 62 and on the access road should be removed by midweek this week.
We actually got an update.
We do.
That's going to take a little longer than midweek
Oh,
this
it's
week.
going to take a little longer.
Yes.
Thank you for the update.
Yeah.
Things are changing momentarily.
Hopefully it'll be by mid to the end of next week, I think is pretty much what we're looking at now.
Very good.
Yeah. It has to do with the storm,
Yes.
and the crews have been called off into other emergency situations. So.
Thank you. The last of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment has arrived, and the movement of furniture to its final location took place last week and over the weekend. The distance learning lab and audiovisual system installation is well underway. At the last SSBC meeting, one invoice was approved in the amount of $151.15. A schedule of tours for students has taken place, and the North Reading High School grand opening ceremony and tours will take place on Saturday, September 20th. The ceremony will take place from 9 to 10 p.m. in the Performing Arts Center, and then self-guided tours will begin immediately following the ceremony and end at approximately 1 p.m. The next regular meeting of the Secondary School Building Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, September 16th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. in the High School Library Media Center.
Thank you, Kathy. At this point, I'd turn it over to members of the committee if they have any comments that they'd like to make about the project in general, their involvement in it, or their relief at having us open today. I'll start with Janine. Anything you want to say?
It's a long time coming. It really is. It's nice to see. It's nice to see other people kind of walking around. You know, I took my husband on an impromptu tour, and he was impressed. He thought it was very nice. So, and there was a couple other people, and they were all oohing and ahhing, and they thought it was simply wonderful.
I was trying to make everybody tonight take their shoes off before they came in the back door, but they wouldn't do it. Cliff?
Well, it's still a work in progress, but we'll get past the growing pains and get the wrinkles covered on it. I keep telling people that there's millions of pieces to this project, and millions of items in it, and if you take 1/100th of 1% of those millions of pieces, you have a lot of things that can go wrong. So we'll find those in short order. Fortunately, our contractors are all going to be with us for another year and a half.
They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
That's why we got the fence up, so they can't go anywhere. That's, you know.
The pickup route is almost as bad as it was last year down at the old high schools. But that too will get worked out. Everybody be patient. We'll get it all done and wrapped up.
Yeah, everybody's committed, believe me.
Pretty
Karen?
functional right now.
The only thing I have to say, I'm probably the least involved with the members here, just because of, there's so many of you involved in this. It didn't seem right for all of us to be there. But I just am so amazed at the space and also the total commitment of the community to make this happen. It has taken a huge army of people to do this. And I feel gratified for our educators that they will have a space that they can really use to teach and to nurture students, and I am very pleased for our students and their families that they will have this space. North Reading is a very special place and really values education, and I think it's a wonderful place to be right now. So this is a tremendous accomplishment, and I'm very proud of our community.
Thank you, Caramel.
The school's beautiful, it's safe, it's highly functional. There's a lot of things, as we mentioned, that need to be done. We've got to be patient. We've got to keep positive that the things will get done, and that by the open house, most of those will be completed. I wanted to, one of the bigger problems this morning was traffic, and if that's the biggest problem we have to worry about, I'm actually pretty happy with that. I want to thank the police department for the work they've done. We've got, what we have now is kind of a sticky situation up here because we had to improvise on drop-offs and pickups and turnarounds, and this morning was okay, this afternoon was good. I know there was a really big traffic jam in the center of town this morning. If you're going to work at that time, I suggest you leave 10 minutes early, 15 minutes early, or find an alternative route, as they like to say on the traffic report on the radio. But it's beautiful, and the kids really seem to enjoy it. Of course, tomorrow's day 2 of school, so they'll probably have to get there in a new building because we're in school now, but it's great.
Yeah, and again, I just want to stress that our objective was to open today, September 8th. We had set that in our calendar a while back. We were able to do that today. We really, once the kids got out of school in June and we made the commitment to pretty much knock down the middle school, then we were under the gun to get this building open today, and we did it. And people are going to have to be patient because there are still things that have to be done. But overall, I am delighted and I'm relieved. I'm stressed out, but but I'm feeling good that we're at where we are tonight. So
To that, one of the things that many won't remember, but back in April of 2013, we were very concerned about every day lost, and we did on this, as it turned out. And we have the middle school has been started and is now probably 85% of the demolition's been done, and we would not have been that far along on that, which means that next year we'll be able to get in to the middle school on time. Those are that shows just how tight that schedule was and how critical it was that we moved right when we did.
thank you, Cliff. Next item on the agenda is naming of school facilities. We've had a lot of discussion about this. I think that we had a discussion at our last meeting about this policy subcommittee taking this and reviewing it. Our current policy, I think as everybody knows, and it's a long-standing policy, is that we would not name the middle school or the high school after any individual person. We have an opinion from town council that in order for a building to be named after anyone, that the school committee would have to come through the school committee on a recommendation of the school committee and then approved by town meeting. So again, I'd ask the members for input, but I'd like to see if the policy subcommittee can take a look at this, perhaps even the subcommittee and/or the full school committee maybe have some public hearings on this and decide whether or not we want to revise our policy, and maybe revise our policy to make it consistent with what the law is, and that is that the school department is required to make the recommendation, and the town meeting is required to vote on it. So, again, any discussion? Cliff, you're on the policy subcommittee.
Well, the policy subcommittee will certainly look at that situation.
How does everybody else feel about that? I think
I
it's
think
a policy
definitely.
review is what I'm
Yes,
suggesting.
Yes, and
Yes.
it does definitely need to be reviewed and have a procedure at least attached to it, if in the future this happens.
Now, we also have a warrant article, and I haven't seen the warrant yet, but we have a warrant article that's been proposed by citizens petition to name the middle school after Charles Jones. We are going to have to vote to recommend or not recommend the passage of that warrant article. We can do it tonight, we still have time to do it at our next meeting or even before town meeting. So I don't know how people feel about that. I do see Mark Favreau here. I don't know, Mark, if you want to say anything. I know you.
No.
Okay.
Good.
All right. So I don't know if you want to take a vote on that, or if you want to wait for the next meeting.
I'm prepared to vote tonight, but
Prepared to vote? Okay. All right, then again, it would require a motion to either recommend or not recommend this particular warrant article. And again, the school committee will be asked to make a recommendation at town meeting. So do we have a motion for it?
should the motion be made to recommend and then we just take a vote on it?
I would think if you're going to make a motion, it would be to recommend or to not recommend. I don't think it has to
You
be
can
to
do it either
recommend.
way.
Yeah, I would prefer to see if whatever the action you want to take, make that motion.
I will make a motion to not recommend that, not recommend the petition item to name the middle school after Charles E. Jones at town meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Webster.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bowers. All right, discussion.
Again, I think as I stated last week, we should open this up. We should have the subcommittee, policy subcommittee, look at the policy, and we should then, I would like to discuss other potential areas that could be named for Mr. Jones, to see if we can come to some sort of agreement with the group supporting naming the school after him. I think there have been some good ideas tossed around, but I don't think this idea shouldn't be killed because we don't support this petition. I think we should then move into a phase of some level of discussion, whatever that may be after town meeting.
Anybody else want to comment? Okay, again, I'm kind of aligned with Mel on this. It's, and again, I'm not even objecting to Charlie Jones being considered for this. I do think that the policy has to be reviewed. I am not in favor of a citizen's petition and not going by way of the school committee, because I think town council's made it clear that it has to go through the school committee. So I think that process-wise, we need to do some work on this, and I think after the subcommittee comes back to us with a recommendation, we can discuss this again. I'm not sure what's going to happen at town meeting, but at this point, if there's no further discussion, I'm going to ask all those in favor to please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries by a vote of 5 to 0. Next on the agenda is one of the most fun things we do, the 2014-2015 School Committee Goals Workshop. We did meet on Wednesday, September 3rd, to discuss our goals for the 2014-2015 year. Our goals are pretty much aligned with under 4 different categories: leadership and governance, financial and asset management, educational programs, and family and community relations. And they're stated in a format that has a goal statement, an objective, and activities, which I consider the activities more or less to be the actual goals that we have for the coming year. I don't know that we need to go over every one of these. I think that, under leadership and governance, we have goals under policy, strategic planning, evaluation, media, human resources, professional development. The secondary school building project, obviously. Under financial and asset management, we have them under budget and finance planning team. Under educational programming, advocacy. And then under family and community relations, we have goals under the goal statement, and then the activities we have, media and community partnerships. I don't know, does anybody want to highlight any of these? I think everyone's not only had a chance to participate in formulating these goals the other night, except I think Mel was not there, but I think we talked about them in some detail, but if there's anything anybody wants to highlight, we can do that.
There's only one thing I'd like to highlight,
Yeah.
which is we made a major shift in our goals in educational programming. Prior to this, we had sort of a lot of budgetary dependent goals with our budget section. This is now entirely focused on advocacy for our students and bringing more funding and better legislative support into our ability as a committee to provide educational programming and support the administration. So I think that's an incredibly important thing.
Yeah, again, I'll read some of the activities that Karen's referring to. And this is under educational programming, but under advocacy, actively participate in legislative advocacy for improved support from the state and federal government, prioritize funds to support curriculum, instruction, assessment, and professional development utilizing aligned instructional technology. 3, use reliable data to measure effectiveness of curriculum and instruction, and 4, remain current with the alignment to the Common Core standards. One of the things we also did was we looked at our own self-evaluation that we did for the school committee, and as a result, and I think Karen did the work on this, but as a result of some lower grades than some other categories that we gave ourselves, we then looked at those grades and said, well, can we convert some of these things into goals? So I think, Karen, why don't you highlight a couple of those things that we looked at in our own self-evaluation?
Actually, Janine and I both did this, and she
Yeah.
made that presentation. Would you mind?
Want to talk about some of them based on our own evaluation?
Well, I think the biggest ones was the professional development amongst the school committee itself, and how to best handle that. And the other one was just with the learning, well, part of the professional development was learning how the individual schools improvement plan, what it means and how it relates back to us. And then having them come back at a mid-year with their updates, and that way we can see how they implement the plan, whether they've done it successfully or not. So, and I think those were pretty much
Those are
the
the
two
two
big
major ones.
Yeah.
Also, making sure that everything we do aligns. So obviously, we bought into NRPS 2016. We want to make sure that our goals support and align with those goals. So that's one of the major messages to our work.
Yeah, under professional development, the school committee, 2 of the things that we did as goals or as objectives is to create and implement a formal school committee professional development program, which we haven't had. You would never know if you're listening and watching us work, but we didn't really have a formal professional development program. And the second thing was to create a new school committee member training program, so that when a new member comes on, there's some type of training or mentoring for the new member. And Janine, you want to speak briefly as to what you did as far as as a new member?
As a new member, you do something called charting the course, and that's where you can learn everything what the school committee does. And there's 2 ways of doing it. There's a seminar that you can go to and learn, or you can attend the MSACSC conference, which is how I did it. We ended up going down for the weekend, and wonderful courses that they have. Everything from just basic to, how to negotiate contracts and things, and the law and everything behind it. So I found that very, very educational, and everyone should do that.
I think
At
everyone
least
here,
once.
except for Jerry, because he was grandfathered in.
Yes.
I'm great-grandfather then,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Okay, well, thank you. Anything else on the goals? I mean, I think we spent a lot of time on it the other night. Superintendent led the discussion. And I think, obviously a lot of the goals mirror what we've done in the past, but there's certainly some new ones. One of the ones that's on here still is the secondary school building project, as we continue to move forward with that. And that's going to be a goal for at least this year and probably the year following. So, okay, no further discussion. We'll move on to, and again, this is going to be interesting. We'll ask the superintendent. So, we're going to vote on those. That's right, we're going to vote to accept those. Do we have a motion to accept the
Move to accept
goals?
the new goals.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Motion by Cliff, a second by Janine. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. We now have a report on opening day. I'm going to turn that over to the superintendent, who is
Thank
here.
Thank you. It was a great day for the North Reading Public Schools. I did have the pleasure of being out at the parent drop-off at the new North Reading High School today, along with our chairman, Mr. Venezia, as well as the chairman of the SSBC, Mr. Chuck Carucci, and of course, building principal, Mr. John Bernard. Also, Wayne Hardacre, our supervisor of building and grounds, was out there. Again, I'd like to extend my thank you to the North Reading Police Department for their support in assisting us in a new parent drop-off pattern. It is in its initial stages. We will perfect it as the week goes on, but it was really important and supportive to have the North Reading Police with us to guide parents as to what the new configuration will be.
They did a great job, both the
Yes.
drop-off this morning and the pickup this afternoon.
Great, yeah.
Yes, it's, I really appreciate all of the work that they do with us. I did have a chance to speak to the other principals as well. My visit to them was delayed by one day because I did spend so much time up here today. So I will be touring all of the schools tomorrow, but I did get feedback from all of the principals. They said they had a great opening. The buses were a little delayed, but that is typical for every first day and first couple of days of a new school year, as bus drivers learn their routes and students recognize what time the bus is actually arriving at the bus stop so that everybody can be on time. So again, as the school year progresses, or this week progresses, those bus times do get tightened up. And I'd like to thank Michael Connolly, who oversees the bus pickup and drop-off at each of the schools, and he works with Linda Mazzola, our bus coordinator. So it was a great opening day. We did lose electricity at the little school as a result of the storm on Saturday evening, but that electricity was restored by Sunday afternoon and school opened on time and as usual. And we lost no food because the electricity was restored in enough time. So it was a wonderful beginning. Again, I'd like to thank Wayne Hardacre and the entire custodial and maintenance crew for an outstanding job. They worked around the clock in the last couple of weeks, and their floors are as shiny as ever with our 7 coats of wax in each of the schools. And truly, it is a pleasure to walk into any of these schools and see what an outstanding environment our students have for learning.
Thank you. Any questions of the superintendent?
I did get it. I'm not going to reveal the number, but let's say that the number here is close to 800 students.
That's correct.
Here?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 790 something.
I know it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was we should mention, we took a picture in the...
Yeah, Mr. Bernard had a great idea.
Yes.
We had every single student in the school, every faculty member, every staff member, central office people, school committee members, community activists here today, and we were able to put everybody in the grandstand in the gym and take a picture for the first day of school. It was a great idea. I can't wait to see it, and it was, you know, again, Mr. Bernard wanting to preserve the moment, so.
It was wonderful. I'd just like to make one more point. Last Friday, I had an opportunity to welcome back the faculty and the staff from across the district at our traditional welcome back commemorative ceremony. And Mr. Venezia also speaks, as well as the president of the North Reading Education Association. And it was thrilling to be able to welcome everyone back in our new Performing Arts Center. It was a long-awaited 4-year wait in order to be able to do that. And I was just so proud to be able to welcome everyone back on that day. It was a wonderful event. We had students that did perform. That performance will be repeated at the grand opening of the new high school on September 20th. I'll just keep saying that date so people come. That performance was heartfelt, and it talks about imagining the possibilities. So I hope all of our townspeople will be able to attend to appreciate that as much as we all did.
Thank you.
Thank
Kat.
you.
Okay, next on the agenda, new superintendent's contract. As everybody knows, we voted to appoint John Bernard, superintendent, to succeed Kathy Willis when she leaves, I believe, on October 18th, Kathy?
17th is my last day.
17th.
Yes.
So we've been negotiating a contract with John, and I'm pleased to report that we have some terms that I want to propose to the committee for their consideration for a new contract. The term of the contract that's being proposed is from October 18th October 18th, 2014 to June 30th, 2017, at a salary of $160,000. 25 vacation days, which is the standard that the superintendents have carried over at least the last 4 or 5 contracts. The 25 vacation days would allow Mr. Bernard to buy back 5 days per calendar year if he does not use them all. He would be entitled to 15 sick leave days, which again is standard. There would be no buyback of sick leave, and the amount of days that he can accumulate would be 180 days. 3 personal days, 5 bereavement days. We're going to be requesting that there be a 120 days notice if he decides to leave for any reason, that he would give us 120 days notice. And just to go back to the vacation days, the most he could be compensated for accumulated vacation days at the end of his contract would be 30 days. So those are the general terms of the contract. I'll put those out there for the committee's consideration. If you want to have a discussion prior to making a motion, we can do that, or we can make the motion and then have a discussion.
I'll make the motion to approve the contract as stated.
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion by Ms. Saracchetti and a second by Mr. Webster to approve the contract based on the terms that were just stated. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. Congratulations, Mr. Bernard. We have a new superintendent with a contract. Okay. And we'll get that, I'm sure we'll get that drawn up, Kathy.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Mr. Vanetsky?
Yes.
Pardon me, will you be giving him a call to inform him of this before we draw up the contract?
Either that, I'm going to run across the hall and let him know. But yeah, no, yeah,
Right.
yes, I will. I'll give him a call.
He's in the cafeteria.
He's in the cafeteria.
I've seen him every day for the last 2 weeks. I'm sure I get in touch with him.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the FY16 capital improvement plan. Over the last year or two, we've been working on a large capital plan that requires us to submit, Michael, I think, to a committee formed by the town. The committee then tries to prioritize, or does prioritize, the capital improvement projects for the entire town, not just the school district, and then they move forward with those articles on the town meeting warrant. So at this time, I'm going to turn over to our Director of Business Operations, Michael Conley, for his presentation.
Great, thank you very much. So in your packet this evening is one I'm pointing that there was the revised 5-year large capital plan. You should receive that in the packet. And, you may see some similarities from a year ago. There are some issues and conclusions that we made as an administrative team, as well as copy of the PowerPoint slides. And also want to note, Wayne Hardegger was prepared to lend some support this evening when you get to the facility section of the 5-year plan. So I want to quickly talk about, just go through the agenda of what we want to go through today. I want to briefly review and just summarize for the committee, update everyone on what capital items were approved by the Capital Improvement Plan Committee in fiscal year 15. Update of the status of those projects. I want to discuss the revisions to the 5-year large capital plan that we'll go over tonight in detail. Certainly going to focus on fiscal year 16 requests. Those will be the requests for next school year, 2014-15. And then I want to discuss obviously the future capital needs will be discussed as well. Then I'm going to end by reviewing the CIPC timeline and the process, so we're all on the same page of what their timeline is this year. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit moved up from what it was a year ago. That's why we're reviewing these right from the beginning of the school year. And then I want to leave time for a discussion and questions. So this is the agenda. So very quickly, we had 3 projects that were ultimately approved by the Capital Improvement Planning Committee for this fiscal year. You may recall we submitted 4, and through the year we had 2 that were approved, and then 1 that was approved through an additional town meeting article based on a need that had arisen throughout the year at the end of the school year last year. So the computer replacements for $60,000, that was replacements of some computer labs that at the Bachelor Elementary School was approved, and that those computers were certainly purchased over the summer, and that project is well underway. You may recall we approved $40,000 of the elementary phone upgrade. That is moving to a voice over IP system, which is the same system that has been installed at the new building here at the high school as well as at the middle school. So we would have all 5 schools on a very coherent, compatible system. As you, I'm sure, recognize, it was a very busy year this past summer, this past several weeks, getting, certainly the focus was on the high school, middle school, and the moves in the project and getting this building up and ready for the start of school. So that project's going to be a little bit delayed. We're probably looking at mid-year before that's officially rolled out and implemented. But it certainly will happen this school year. Then you may recall we had a utility van replacement. This project, or this replacement of our utility van that was going back to 2001, it had several, it certainly had over 110,000 miles on it, was initially not approved. It fell just below the CIPC's cut of approved projects, but based on, it actually, unfortunately, had failed in May of last year, and we were able to get a special town meeting article on the June 2nd town meeting last June, and that was approved. So that van has been replaced, and I'm happy to report the HVAC technician is certainly driving and utilizing that vehicle, and it's a beautiful vehicle. So again, just to summarize, these are the three categories that we look at when we talk about large capital. We look at our vehicle and our fleet of vehicles and their replacement schedule. We look at technology, both instructional technology and management technology, and we look at our facilities. As a reminder, the Capital Improvement Planning Committee criteria for what qualifies as a large capital item is anything that has a useful life of 5 years and a total cost of $25,000. So that's the criteria that we're looking at when we approach large capital. This is a quick summary chart. I'm going to come back to this chart at the end, but I just wanted to throw it out there at the beginning so everyone can see. This is over a 3-year total. I know we go out 5 years. The CIPC requests 3 years of projects, so you can kind of get a quick snapshot of the 3 categories of where our needs and priorities from our large capital funding perspective lie. And as you can see, we're looking at, we definitely have needs. We're looking at over 1.5 million of requests over the next 3 years of projects that we identified as certainly a high priority. So I'm going to start with vehicles and look at our FY16 requests. So you may recall last year we had requested, we had put together a vehicle replacement plan, and year 2 of that plan, which is now year 1 that we're focusing on, fiscal 16, was replacing the special education vans. So we have 4 special education vans, 3 of which are used on a daily basis to transport our students to in-town programs. One of which we have as a spare, which is used on an as-needed basis when certain vans are being repaired and having maintenance work done to them. The 2005 van is the oldest vehicle. It's a spare, but it's about 9 years old, and it certainly has over 108,000 miles on it. So it certainly would need a replacement. If we were to fund this, if this project were to be funded, we would actually transfer this vehicle to the food service department. The food service department's van is even older. It's a 2000 vehicle. It has even a greater amount of miles on that van. And that van is shown here in the lower right-hand corner. So the idea is to focus on purchasing a new vehicle for the special education department, because those vans are utilized more regularly on a daily basis to transport students. And then the 2005 van would not be taken offline. It would then just move down and replace the 2000 vehicle for the food service department, and that van would be traded in and taken offline. So this here showing, this is the food service vehicle here, and this would be the red, this steel, this 2005 van. So that's our focus on capital. We would then move forward in the later years in 2006 to FY17 and 18 and look to replace the next 2 special education vans, which are 2006 and 2007. So if we continue with this replacement schedule, we'll be certainly in good shape. And this is the priority order of how we ranked the plan. Moving on, this is a new request that we have had this year in under vehicles. We have discussed this in the past at prior meetings, and we did some research this summer. I've certainly worked with high school principal John Bernard as well as athletic director Dave Johnson to take a look at what a multifunction activity bus could do for our athletic department. As you know, we are under a new contract in the athletic department, and the athletic transportation has significantly risen as a result of that new contract. So our rates have gone up, and the waiting time under that contract has risen. We're kind of locked into that for the next couple of years. And through some research, more and more school districts are looking to bring some of that athletic transportation in-house, and if they're able to do that, they are realizing significant savings. And in working with Dave Johnson, we feel like we have identified up to potentially 45 and 60 athletic runs throughout the school year where a vehicle of this nature could be used to transport our small athletic teams. And it could also be used for extracurricular events. This is a 15-passenger vehicle, so it would be a driver plus 14 other passengers. It comes with some storage compartments and racks for athletic equipment that can be stored safely during the transportation trip. The estimated annual savings, based on an average cost of $300 per run that we're currently incurring on average for each athletic run, if we were able to realize the 45 to 60 runs on an annual basis, we're really looking at a potential saving between $13,500 and $18,000. So certainly a considerable amount of savings could be realized, and have that additional level of flexibility will be there as well. And because this is not considered a school bus in a sense, it's not your typical yellow school bus. It doesn't have it's not required to have the emergency and all the emergency flash lights, equipment, and so forth. So because it's not being purchased for everyday use on a scheduled run, it doesn't require or meet the same regulations of a yellow school bus does. So the driver would not need a special license or 7B license like some of our special education van drivers need. You only need a valid Massachusetts driver's license to operate the vehicle. So this is a request that we would put on for fiscal 16. Moving on to the next category, technologies requests. I certainly want to thank both Patrick Daly and the New Additional Learning Coordinator, Nathan Campbell, who were extremely helpful in reviewing this plan and putting these requests together this year. I think you'll notice that some of these requests look very similar, and the plan stays in place from what we put together a year ago, but they're, with technology and the fact that it does change on a regular basis, and now that a little bit of the dust is cleared with what we're able to repurpose from this building, from the middle school, we've made some small revisions to that plan. So the first request for fiscal 16 involves a $90,000 request. We're calling it really a device initiative, so we're kind of broadening that from iPad initiative to more of a device initiative, and it focuses in two areas, this $90,000 request. The first focus would be to replace 2 computer labs at the Hood and Little elementary schools. The plan would be to purchase 30 workstations. These workstations cost about $14,000 per lab, so it would be about $28,000 to replace these 2 workstations at both the Hood and the Little. This would bring the computer labs up to par with what the bachelor school received this year with the funding that we received with the capital plan. So this would be sort of a thin client solution with the latest technology, and it would really bring both middle and elementary schools certainly up to par to what is needed to address the students' needs. The second phase of this $90,000 request would involve some additional student devices in the form of 6 Chromebook carts. So in order to meet our digital learning goals, certainly the schools need additional devices. And this would certainly support what the students need. This is the goal would be to minimally for student learning. You want to certainly increase your device per student, and this would certainly allow us to do that. Each Chromebook cart costs just over $10,000. So the $90,000 request in FY16 involves the purchase of 6 additional carts, which would be approximately $62,000, coupled with the lab replacement for the little one that I just spoke of $28,000. So that's how we're getting to that the $90,000 request. The second part of in fiscal 16, our technology request involves an upgrade to our data management software of $35,000. This was on the plan a year ago. We actually had it out in fiscal 16. It was year 2 a year ago. Now it's our first year in fiscal 16, but we've actually, we're trying to phase this in. I think we had a $75,000 request in fiscal 16 a year ago. We're now looking to do this over 2 years and $35,000 per year, beginning in fiscal 16 and in the second year in fiscal 17. So we certainly need to update our software. Our software is a little outdated. This would include our data management for students and staff. It would include curriculum and assessment tracking tools, and it would include benchmarking software. The current system certainly have limitations, and it has become increasingly difficult to continue to comply with the state's additional reporting requirements. The new system would allow a district to easily be able to meet the state's student and staff reporting requirements, and it will also provide additional features for both instructional and administrative staff to do their daily tasks more efficiently. The new system would come with an increase in annual maintenance and operational costs of approximately $15,000 per year. So that is something we have to plan for and work into the operating budget. That would be an ongoing maintenance expense. However, we do feel with the improved system, it would certainly allow the staff to kind of retask their current duties and focus efforts elsewhere to continue to improve student learning. So we do think this is an initiative that is needed. And in speaking with Dr. Patrick Daly and Nathan Campbell, we think this 2-year approach or phase-in from a professional development and training perspective with everything that we have going on kind of makes sense to do this over 2 years. So looking at our technology plan in the future, the outer years of the plan, we've discussed this last year, and the focus certainly we still need to be here, and that's on our wireless infrastructure. And this is going to focus on the elementary schools, certainly with the building project, the high school and the middle school will certainly be taken care of, so the focus needs to shift to the elementary schools. Our current solution is working. It certainly is allowing us to meet our needs currently, but there certainly can be upgrades that would need to take place to keep that system running into the future. So this request would bring the elementary schools up to speed with the new high school and middle school. The project involves the replacement of parts and access points to improve network bandwidth. So you would kind of do this in phases. It's a 2-year phasing approach. The first year we would address switches and server parts that would be needed. And then the second year we would continue to increase the access points throughout the building to increase the wireless range of the signal and that network bandwidth that would be needed. The equipment currently being utilized at the middle school and high school can certainly be used to furnish one of the elementary schools, and that would we certainly look to do that. The cost includes investment that would be needed to adequately equip at least 2 other elementary schools. This investment also comes with an increase in operational costs of approximately $9,000 per year. But we think $100,000 per elementary school is a good estimate at this point in time. The state continues to talk about E-rate discounts and the fact that there could be money through the governmental program. E-rate, continue to watch that program and wait for more information. It's unknown exactly at this time how much of that E-rate government federal funds will be available for school districts. It's going to flow through that E-rate formula, so that's districts, the high need districts would be first in line, and then it would kind of flow through. So it's sort of, we'll keep our watch out for that process, and we'll continue to check in regularly that it could be available, but it's just unknown at this point in time what that's going to look like. So now moving on to the facility requests. Again, I'm going to focus on our fiscal 16 requests. And the first request I want to discuss is the Hood School boilers. This was on our plan a year ago. It's been accelerated by 1 year, I believe, from a year ago. I believe we had it listed in fiscal 17. We're hoping to move that up to fiscal 16. They would cost about $300,000, but the upgrade of the Hood boilers, which are currently over 15 years old, we would like to move to the high efficiency condensing boilers. And that reason for that is because they are extremely more energy efficient, and it will allow us to realize significant operational cost savings. So I have a couple of pictures here that I'm going to bring up on the screen. So the picture on the left here, these are our current boilers at the Hood School. So I mean, you kind of get a little bit sense of the difference in technology. This is the older version, the 15, 16-year-old version of the boilers. The little schools were upgraded through capital funds only a couple of years ago. And you can see, moving from left to right, the difference in technology there. And the middle school boilers, these high condensing efficiency boilers, have certainly led to about $12,000, $15,000 operational cost savings on an annual basis. So, although it may be true that the hood boilers may have a few more years of life in them, typically you're looking at potentially you can get 20 years out of them with good maintenance. But we would, in some sense, we're accelerating that because there's operational cost savings there on the table that can be realized. And we would like to bring them to the same level of the other schools. The next request in facility involves priority is the Hood School parking lot. This is a new request that was not on the plan a year ago. But in looking at the Hood School, we certainly feel there's a strong need to address the parking lot. The plan calls for a 2-year project to repave the parking lot, the walkway, and the playground area. It would also include the regrading and installing curbing. The current parking lot shows increasing signs of deterioration, and we think it's resulting in potential safety concerns. We would certainly work with the DPW and try to achieve their economies of scale, and get, as they pave several town lots throughout the summer months, and we would try to incorporate working with them to achieve an economies of scale benefit. I also have some pictures up here that I would like to bring your attention to. So the first is the parking lot, and as you can see, you're seeing some cracking and some deteriorating, and that the pavement is beginning to lift, causing some safety concerns there. Moving on to one of the back walkways, you can see that it's eroding and deteriorating, and certainly some safety concerns there where the arrow is coming in the screen. Then moving on to the playground area, this is there's some basketball hoops there. It's kind of difficult to see, but there's grass, it's cracking, there's grass and weeds and roots kind of coming up into the pavement. So we certainly feel it's a need, and about $50,000 over the next 2 years. Over 2 years, we can address this, both the parking lot area, the walkway, and the playground. So that's certainly a priority that we place in the plan for fiscal 16. Just touching upon our facility plan, our future needs. Middle school roof, this was on our plan a year ago. We kept it on the plan. Again, the middle school roof is showing signs of deterioration, and I think it could potentially become a safety concern, and it should be addressed in the very near future. So we have this a couple of years out. It is a high-ticket item, about $250,000, and it certainly should be noted that this will need to be addressed in the future. The energy system upgrade. So you may recall last year, this was the one item that we revised and revisited. A year ago, we had this as a small request of $25,000, and it was looking to involve just a Hood School boiler room update only. That would have gotten the Hood School to the same level as the little school, and allowed us to, I think, realize some small savings, but we thought it was a good savings for a minimum amount of investment. The Capital Improvement Planning Committee felt a different approach, and they felt this could be looked at differently and look at the entire plan in total, and cash could be bonded over several years and could work as well. So we were working with Mr. Hardacre, we kind of revisited that, and we revised this plan. We put it out in the later years as we've been priorities I've already spoke to, a little bit of a higher priority. But we certainly feel we can, build on the existing system and install a full energy management system at both the Hood and the little school. So this would not only do the boiler room, it would do the entire school. It would bring both those two elementary schools to the same level of both this building and the bachelor school. So if this project were able to be implemented, we feel we would be really set up well to really set the occupancy schedules and regulate the boilers and really zone in and really ensure a high energy management system and significant operational cost savings. We really feel that we can save between $10,000 and $12,000 annually in each school by making this energy system upgrade. So that's included in fiscal 2019. Asbestos mitigation, this has been an ongoing on the plan. A couple years ago, we funded $50,000 and we did some asbestos mitigation work. at the Little and the Hood School. So the plan calls to essentially continue what we've been doing. We think an every other year approach is the most cost-effective way. Again, there's no immediate danger, or this would be to essentially remove some asbestos tiles and ceiling, floor and ceiling tiles that remain in some of the buildings, particularly the Hood and the Little School. And we really feel this, this portion approach, phasing approach every other year is the best way to deal with asbestos mitigation. So now bringing back the summary chart, I wanted to just highlight this is the chart that I showed you at the beginning of the presentation. As you can see, there's certainly a focus on technology and certainly facilities in the near future. In highlighting some of the key projects and the higher ticket items over the next 3 years, you're looking at a need to start to upgrade the elementary school wireless infrastructure. That's in fiscal 17. That's a big piece of that $185,000 that we're looking at in fiscal 17. Looking at the facilities, a big piece of that 350 is trying to address the middle school roof. So that will need to be, as we said, that needs to be addressed in the near future. And out in year 3, that would, a big chunk of that $250,000 on the facilities involves the energy system upgrade I just spoke of. So this kind of gives you that snapshot in the facilities in year 1. That 300,000 of that would be the Hood School boiler request. So we certainly have needs that are there. There's some large items around the area of facilities and technology that we need to be aware of so we can properly plan into the future. So I just want to end with, before I turn it over to questions and comments and discussion, with just a quick review of the CIPC's timeline. Again, revisions to the capital request sheets that we submitted a year ago are due from each town department, all of the schools, by September 30th. So this is the step 1 of that process. CIPC at that point will then review the requests and make any necessary field trips and bring in presentations by each department to get more of the information that they need, probably in the time frame around November. Then the process of ranking the request that Jerry spoke of earlier would begin. This would be in the December-January time frame. The committee will review and try to come to a consensus of the ranking order sometime at the end of February, beginning of March time frame. And the plan this year, for the first time, the CIPC is hoping to put together a 3-year plan. So we've been doing this on an annual basis. This is going to be the 3rd year request. So we're hoping to come up with, now a comprehensive 3-year plan. That's why you see the focus on 3 years in the presentation tonight. The CIPC will then present the plan to the 3 major boards, particularly the Board of Selectmen in April. And then they will submit the final plan for articles to the June town meeting sometime by the end of April. So it'll be ready for the June 2nd town meeting. So that is the CIPC timeline, and I'll now turn it over to any questions and discussion.
I want to point out, as Mike suggested, this is the 3rd year we've had this committee. We do have representation on the committee. Michael's a member of the committee. And again, it's important for us to be able to sell these projects to the committee because they're not all going to go on the warrant, that's for sure. Mike, have you prioritized any of these, or do you want to open it to discussion first before you talk about
we were sort of curious to get some discussion where the school committee stood, and we certainly had some internal conversations.
Again, this is an extension of the collaborative effort that we've had between the various boards in town, such as the financial planning team and obviously the capital improvement projects committee. I'd open it up for discussion and/or questions from Michael, and I think one of the things we need to do is to prioritize which of these projects we want to push forward. Mel?
I have questions and comments on a lot of them, but I want to focus initially on the bigger ones, the Hood School boilers, and then in the future, the energy system upgrade. I guess I understand wanting to upgrade the Hood School boilers, but the one thing that concerns me is if we're looking at, you said they last 20 years, and we're actually looking at a 20-year ROI on these. So I guess I don't see the rush to replace them if we're looking at a 20-year ROI.
Wait, do you want to address that? We talked about that.
It's not really a rush to replace them. They function well. They probably last for several more years. And the thought process behind it was to try to save some money. Invest money to save money. And that's what we did to Little School, what, 3 years ago?
I guess I ask, are we,
We're wasting energy.
we're wasting energy? Are we
Yeah.
losing money? So we are spending more money than we need to spend with
We're
these?
wasting
Yeah.
energy.
So it's
Wasting
not-
dollars.
So if we extend it out another 5 years and try to continue to maintain, you know, this dollars, operational dollars, we could be saving $12,000, $15,000 by, I guess, accelerating the replacement a little bit. So that's $12,000, $15,000 a year that could be going back towards other areas and into the budget. So we,
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Back when they were purchased in probably 1998, installed in 1999, energy conservation was in the distant horizon, which is now. We have since installed variable drives on the heating pumps up there with the help of the town, and the pumps were way oversized at the time. Here again, there was no big push for energy conservation. Using the Little School as an example of a modern, even our new school here, a modern high-efficiency condensing boiler setup. I think a common goal of mine and Mike's too is to try to save money through energy conservation. Shut things off, keep it, cut it back, fine tune it. And we've done that a little in the boiler room. We can fine tune that. The point is trying to save you money, but still keeping people comfortable.
so it continues to be a budget goal of the year. We want to manage our operational cost savings, and that's always a high priority. And at some point they're going to have to be replaced. They're not going to last forever. They're getting to that stage, and the point is, do we wait until they just break down and we have no choice, or do we try to look at it in advance and try to look at it a little more economically and see, can we capture some operational savings in advance before you have no choice, but you have to spend the money.
And then a related question to that, are those new boilers required to get to the energy system upgrade, the $200,000? Do we need those new boilers to do the energy system upgrade you recommend FY18?
I think we're trying to do this in steps, logical steps. The bachelor was done starting year 9 of it, today, year 9 of the energy management system. The automated logic system, which was version 3.0. This school will be version 6.0, which will be totally upgraded. Then the bachelor will follow on as a totally upgraded operational energy management maintained school. The hood, we're not there. The little is partial. We're trying to bring it up in steps, logical steps. And the first part would be to put an energy management system in the hood school, which we're working on. It's a fairly inexpensive part, but I think we're trying to work on that internally. But to do it in steps and logical steps, to bring everything up maybe a step at a time. Like the boiler room is like all separate. The rest of the school is not.
Right.
So to work in steps. And the point is to try to save energy. We're wasting, to try to stop wasting energy.
Okay.
And just another quick return, at the bachelor now, those boilers are not the energy, the energy management system operates. The boilers are old technology. I mean, even though they're 7 or 8 years old, or 9 years old, maybe 10 years old now, but they're old, they're not efficient boilers. We have a lot of manual controls, and we're trying to get them more automated.
Okay.
The point is to try to save energy, that's the bottom line.
Right. Thanks.
Mel, anything else?
If anybody else has questions.
Okay, go ahead. Anyone else?
I have a question on the
All right, go.
technology request for fiscal 16. How many Chromebooks are on one of these 6 Chromebook cards?
I believe I want to say there's 32 part. That's my understanding. Yeah, 30. So it's
Just-
6 cards.
Just out of curiosity, why it seems like you're going more towards the Chromebooks than the iPads? Is there a reason for that?
Patrick, and speaking with Patrick and Nathan, I think they feel that the Chromebook, at this point, certainly achieves what the students' needs. So there's different devices can do different things, and they feel at this point, based on what the students' learning needs are, the Chromebook will, comes a little bit easier to manage. It's a little bit, have a thinner client solution, and it does more. It has more features from a learning environment that the students need right now. I mean, that's the I can't give you.
They're also, I'll tell you, they're much less expensive. They're much more flexible. You're not locked in
It's
like
a flexibility
you are with Apple. They're
piece.
open
Okay,
because
yeah.
you're using the web as your operating system. So that you're not locked into whatever Apple says is right for the iPad to
Right.
run for education applications. And I think they're also better in terms of the online, the online test
assessment. That's
taking.
right. So if you look at, as an assessment tool, they handle that better as well.
I think the other argument is that the software is updated automatically.
Yes.
Because it's on the internet. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Karen?
No, if we're going to talk about priorities, I think for me, the wireless infrastructure is my top priority, given how many things we have going on. I would like there to be equity, and the boilers. Those are the two that are my highest priorities. They are the highest ticket items. My lowest priority is the parking lot at the principal, and the function bus. But again, all of these, I would rather put on the table to the committee and say, we want all of this stuff, because we need it, but those would be my lowest.
So one thing on the hood is that we haven't addressed all of this before, but we have had brought before us before that walkway, and
Yes.
Right.
we've said no for a couple of years.
Right.
So I think that there's an issue up there. I love the idea of the multifunction bus. I've spoken to you about it.
Right.
Yet I'm just not sure how.
Well, the thing about the multifunction bus is, again, the efficiency and the savings. I mean,
Right.
You're going to
That's
save
the focus.
that kind of money. We have a lot of teams that I think we transport now. I'm not even sure how we transport teams like the golf team, the tennis team.
Tennis, cross country, and golf, I think, are the three teams that could probably use this, right?
They use it. In some cases, not all the time, they are using the spare special education van.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work all the time because of storage, compartments, and this vehicle allows you to do that.
I guess my priority is this, that if there's a safety issue, that we deal with that first. So anything that's going to require safety, safety first. And then the next, after that, is efficiencies as to whether or not we're going to be able to do things better and for less money. And Wayne's pointed out some of those things in the energy-related areas, but also the transportation areas. I rely on the administration, and I have in the past, to say to us, these are what we think the priorities are. But those are my concerns when we're dealing with these things, safety and then efficiency.
My concern with that multifunction bus
Bus
is,
has got a 3-year payback.
right, would the coach,
Three-year payback.
would the coaches want to drive those buses, and what kind of liability are we looking at?
Right. So
I think coaches have been driving them anyway, haven't they, in a lot of
In some
cases?
cases, they have.
This is bigger than the van
Yeah.
they're driving, so I'm just wondering.
We can certainly, it's a question I can go back and speak to Dave Johnson about. I think from what he's telling me, I think the majority of them would welcome the opportunity to do that because of the flexibility and the fact that many of them right now, believe it or not, are hoping the bus comes at 2:30, and because they're a lot of times involved in elementary transportation runs, their buses are coming until 3 o'clock. So I think a lot of the small teams would love the flexibility to not have to.
And in some cases,
deal with
we're
that.
traveling some pretty good distances, too.
Right, that's true.
And that's one other thing. I know a lot of the private schools buy these buses, they buy them used, but they're not extensively used. They might have 20, 30, 40,000 miles on them. And I'm just wondering if that would be, even if we move forward with this, if that's an option that you could look at, maybe we could pick
Sure.
up a bus for 25,000 or 20,000, because I don't think we're going to put a zillion miles on these if it's 45 to 60 trips a year.
I think if we
So-
bought a new one, it would last us.
Right.
But they're going to be used for other things, Mel, too, I think. I mean,
The idea of use of extracurricular, they could be used throughout the day as well. for different
yeah,
things.
for transportation of,
So in terms of my priorities, I'm kind of along Jerry's line. I am surprised to see the wireless infrastructure moved out to fiscal 17, 18. I'm assuming Nathan and Patrick are fine with waiting that long, or?
I think they feel like the current solution is working. It's that we've been able to do things with either the repurpose to keep the schools running. It's functional. But it's not a long-term solution. So you're going to have to invest some money to extend the lifespan, isn't it? Yeah, that's my understanding.
And now it's also after the middle school comes online. So it's
Correct.
Oh,
repurposing
right,
what's in the
okay.
middle
Oh,
school.
that's right,
So
right,
FY
yeah,
17
okay.
is after that.
So that
Kathy, if you want to weigh in on any of this, too.
Sure, no, Michael's doing a great job, and I just wanted to make that point.
I would say my priorities would be the special ed van, the Hood School parking lot. And then I think the technology requests for 16 that you have and the wireless, that's where my priorities are. I think the boilers, I wouldn't vote no on that, but I could wait another year on the boilers.
I would think on the boilers for the hood, that we could come up with a model that shows we had for a changeover point there,
Yeah.
that how much money we might save and what time period we run out, and a long projected life on, how 20 years or 25 years, what can we squeeze out of them?
Try to find the optimum.
And there's, at some point there's an engineering solution to it.
So Mike, why don't you take that input? We're going to meet on the 22nd of September. I think
Yep.
at that time, we're going to have to
We'll have
prioritize.
to vote then, right?
Yeah.
The idea
at
is
that
to
time we'll
vote
have
and
to
prioritize.
prioritize vote. And this is what's going to go to the committee. That doesn't mean we can't send it all to the committee.
Right.
And maybe they'll think
Right.
our needs are all more important than the
Right, I mean,
town's
I would-
needs, but.
Yeah, I think you could do that, but you would want to be on this consensus of the priority order
Yeah.
at that point.
And this committee's done a good job. I mean, they've taken this seriously
Yeah.
over the last 2 years. And as a result, you see on the warrant what the committee generally recommends to the Board of Selectmen to put on the warrant, so.
Well, they've also established a system where money is now being systematically
Put
taken
aside.
from the budget and put aside
Aside
for
for capital improvement.
capital improvements, which was never done
fund.
before.
Yeah.
We've come up with a funding strategy that I think is going to be able to fund in the range of like $800,000 on an annual basis for large
Yeah.
capital projects.
Right.
All right, Michael, thank you very much.
Great, Mike.
Thank you
Great
very
job.
much.
Kathy, anything else
Appreciate
you
it.
want to?
No, thank you, Michael. And
Thanks,
Janine
Mike.
also represents the school committee on the CIPC.
And we should get you're doing your job. You go over there.
Okay,
She's good.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is we have our North Reading Teachers Association contract is expiring on June 30th of 2015. And therefore, we have to appoint some representatives to begin the negotiations with the NRTA for a new contract. And so we need 2 members. We're going to volunteer to do this. It is time consuming. The meetings are generally in the later afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock after school. They can get pretty intense, and we can meet fairly frequently. And in the past, we've had as many as 20 sessions. And there's a lot of homework to do, so that when you leave the meeting, there's a lot of review, preparation, and it's a fairly time-consuming process. So again, I'm looking for people who are willing to make the commitment.
I'm pleased to say I'm not eligible.
But we'll eliminate Cliff right away.
would be interested in.
Okay, Janine's interested. Karen, how about yourself?
I don't have the time.
Mel, you want to do it again?
Yes.
So I'm going to suggest that Mel and Janine.
How did you get away with not doing it?
Huh? Well, you can only have 2. And
I know.
I've done the last 4. Mel, how do you feel about this?
Well, here's the issue. I mean, I don't think we want to talk publicly about how past negotiations have worked, but there's certain roles people play, and I'm not sure I'm ready to play the role that you played. So if I would
I'm kind of the hammer.
prefer to have you involved instead of me.
But I think Janine raises a good point, though, that to get somebody new in there, I mean, and Mel, you're as experienced as anybody in
So-
doing this.
I think even though Jerry has played that role now, I think you're up to the challenge. And
I don't.
well, I also think they need to see, we need new people. I can't commit to the time, but, I would love to do this otherwise. But I think it would be very useful for newer members to be involved in this for future. So,
But we got to keep Mel interested, either one.
well, I think
Um,
Mel would be great at this, but, what do we need for this appointment?
Well,
We
we-
need somebody up there going, no, because that's not how it works.
No, it is how it works.
I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah.
We're being taped.
I mean, no, but it depends on the kind of negotiations you have. We have not had what they call collaborative-based negotiations for the last 3 contracts. We've had face-to-face, procedural, in-your-face negotiations.
Kathy?
I was just going to say, could you talk about the makeup of the negotiations team for the school committee? Who sits on that team? It is the legal representation
Oh, right.
of the school.
I'm sorry, Kathy,
Yes.
yes, yeah. I mean, the makeup of the team is 2 members of the school committee, the superintendent and our legal counsel, the school committee's legal counsel.
Right.
And so that's the team. The team on the other side is made up of anywhere from 6 to 8 members of the executive board of the North Reading Teachers Association, and their representative, which is a representative from the MTA, right?
That's correct.
Kelly? So that's the makeup of the teams, and like I said, the process is an interesting process that deals with not only benefits and money, but also deals with working conditions. And so it's a lengthy process, but again, give me some input, Mel.
My feeling is this, I prefer you do it because we also have a superintendent who will be doing this. And I've had experience through 2 of these, but I think you've done 4 or 5 of them. So, you know, I would prefer to have you lead it than me.
What if we did this? What if we have 2 people and somebody as an alternate to come in, and so there's 3 of us on the committee and only 2 of us working, attending each meeting? How do you feel about that? I think that's a pretty good idea. I mean,
I think you should just pick 2 people who will do it. I mean, it's not like people are going to be disappointed not to be involved. It's incredibly time consuming, and I physically can't do the 3 to 4 p.m. thing.
I'm
So,
pretty stressed out right now, to be honest.
you're stressed out? So,
I'm thinking again with the consensus committee, I would like to see 3 of us work as a team and 2 of us go to each of the meetings.
So the 2 that go would fill the 3rd person in?
Absolutely.
And
I think we.
would it be a rotational thing?
Yeah, I think we could rotate, yeah. I
Or
think we
would
could.
one person always be there? And
We could do
the other
that,
2?
we could figure out procedurally how we want to go, but I think if there are 3 of us involved.
Does that constitute an essence a quorum?
yeah.
No, I don't think it's a quorum unless the 3 of us were meeting. Well, you're saying the discussions?
So-
When you start discussing, I can vote.
Just here's the thing, and this, I think we need to get new members involved because you and I aren't going to be here. I mean, another 20 years maybe at the most, right?
Yeah.
Each of us.
Tops.
But I think, I'm not saying that Janine should be on it. The thing is, I probably served on 5 or 6 negotiating teams or more before I stepped up to the teachers. I did the paras 2 times, I did.
No, I mean, that's a valid point.
But we need to get people involved in this because we can't have it. Cliff can never do it, well, unless his daughter
Forget
and
about
son-in-law aren't teaching in the district anymore.
Cliff, do
And,
you want to do this? Because we could fire your daughter or something.
It's not our role.
no, that's not our, we can transfer them. I'm not saying,
What did you do for a committee this year? What for negotiation?
Para.
You did the para.
so that's good.
That's a good place to start.
Yes. I mean, I don't know how the 3 thing would work. I'd feel bad if a person, if, like, it's decided that whoever the 2 are going to the meetings, the 3rd person might lose interest, because what's their role become, you know?
We have to decide this today.
Well, we kind of do, because we want to get some meetings set up. No, we don't have to
We
decide.
don't have to decide it today. All right, let's do
Let's
this.
think
We're
about it.
meeting on the 22nd. Let's
Yeah.
sleep on it, okay?
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
All right.
And we'll see if we can come
I
back on the
just- I just
22nd.
wanted
So
to-
Kathy, we'll put this back on the agenda on the 22nd, okay?
Yes.
All right. All right, moving on. We have minutes, we have no minutes.
I have some at my house, but they're not done yet.
The minute, you still haven't done those
No,
minutes?
I have not done them
Those
yet.
are turned into hours.
Guilty.
You're gonna- I'm doing them with a chisel and a tablet.
Nice.
Minutes, we have no budget update from Mike, no staffing changes. I'm going to turn this over to Mike. There is a donation that Mike would like to present to us. Michael?
Sure, so the North Reading, from Fit Revolution, we'd like to donate $3,500 from proceeds raised from this year's Hornet Hustle Road Race. The Fit Revolution brought back this race into town with the hope that we could get more children involved to help raise money for the North Reading physical education programs. So the idea is that the $3,500 donation would be split evenly amongst all 5 schools, with the back of the school receiving an additional $250 for having the most participants.
Okay, so I'm going to, go ahead, Cliff, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I move to accept with gratitude the $3,500 from Fit Revolution on behalf of the proceeds raised from this year's Hornet Hustle Road Race to benefit each school's physical education program.
Okay, motion from Clint. We have a second from Janine. Any discussion? Kathy?
No, thank you, I just wanted to see who was second.
Okay. And again, as far as the 250 extra for the batch, I'm sure that's a request that we could, obviously vote for. Anything further, Mel? No. Okay, we have a motion by Clint, a second by Janine. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. Thank you very, very much. Subcommittee reports. We have none at this time, but we do need to schedule subcommittee meetings.
We do have 2 subcommittees that are scheduled. The policy subcommittee will be meeting on September 12th at 1 p.m. And the athletics subcommittee will be meeting on September 23rd at 12:30 p.m.
Athletic, the 23rd at 12:30.
Will those meetings be in your conference room at the middle school?
That's correct.
At the old high school, which is the new middle school?
Don't get me confused. Administrative report, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, a short report has been distributed to you. I would like to inform the school committee that our former school resource officer, also known as an SRO, Kevin Donnelly, was promoted to detective during the summer. So on July 29th, I participated on the interview committee for the new SRO, and I'm pleased to announce that Detective Scott Tilton was appointed to this role in early August. A copy of the NRPD press release is included in your packet. I'd just like to note a couple of points in the press release. That Officer Tilton has been with the department since 1988. He's also been the department safety officer since 1996, and he was the NRPD Officer of the Year in 2009. So we're thrilled to have Detective Tilton on board, and we welcome him to the faculty on Friday at our welcoming back ceremony.
And he was here this morning and this afternoon directing operations. So
And he was here Friday morning at the Welcome Back Day.
Yes, he was. So he's been right on top of things.
I'd like to commend the superintendent and police chief for being ahead of the ball game. The state passed a law this year which requires an SRO, at minimum 1 SRO in every school district. And we've had this in place now, is this our second year? Second year. So we are ahead of the state on this one.
And Superintendent Willis, and before her, Dr. Trout, have had a very, very strong relationship with the police department. It's paid off very well. They've been very, very helpful to the school department. So absolutely. Okay.
Of course, I'm going to say this again, the North Reading High School grand opening will be taking place on September 20th. A copy of the ceremony and tours announcement is also attached to the administrative report. The general public will be invited to engage in self-directed tours using a map and will be greeted by student tour leaders at identified points of interest around the school. So again, this will take place on the 20th from 9 to 10 for the ceremony, and then from 10 to 1 for the self-guided tours. A brief update on the high school principal search. The window to submit an application to fill the vacant high school principal position closes tomorrow, September 9th. At present, there are 9 applicants. Members of the Administrative Council will review applications this week, and focus group meetings are planned to take place throughout the day on this Wednesday, September 10. Mr. Bernard is in the process of finalizing the search committee, so I will continue to provide updates to you at each of the school committee meetings as we go through the process. And that is the end.
Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, our future schedule of meetings is September 22nd. That's going to be at the Distance Learning Lab.
Or here.
We're here.
It's going to be at the Distance Learning Lab. October 6th, town meeting. We're going to meet half an hour before. That will be at the North Reading High School
Performing Arts Center.
Yes.
And October 14th, that's going to be a Tuesday because of the holiday. And again, that'll be at the North Reading High School Distance Learning Lab, okay? So if there's nothing further, anybody have anything they want to add? I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Cliff, second by Mel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.